We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape, and some informer friend we lovely. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us. To those on the Eastern Timeline, good morning. London and the United Kingdom, good afternoon. The United Kingdom, the northwest of the country, is experiencing turbulence at the moment. If not properly controlled by Merseyside police, it can get out of control very quickly. We will keep our eyes and see what is going on. To my community party and all my family members, good morning. Platform moderators, membership holders, viewers and subscribers, commenters and trolls. Good afternoon, good morning. Debbie Jervis, Natalia Freeman, Beat and Teach, Sunshine, good morning. Abenasa Cody, Cousin Jay, Sim, good morning, good afternoon. Monica Wills, Gloria Morris, Michelle Lewis Wilson, Miranda Rada, Don Mel, Bros, JC, Christopher, Patricia Matthews, how are you? Jason King, Herbert Tuzelin, Audrey Robinson, Pauline Dixon, Paulette McInnes, Elga Fletcher, JC, Jason Kane, Rodney Reed, Millicent Jones, Violet Watson, Athea Lacey, Creative Universe. Good morning, all, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I will bring some highlight to this unfolding story in the northwest of the island and give you some speculatory view done for this morning as to how the riot is unfolding. Real Black Woman morning. Following a brutal incident on Monday where some young children were murdered by a vicious knife wielder, the situation has turned the other angle. Let's follow the development of what is unfolding at the moment. Of course, later on, we'll go right back into the issue unfolding in their compound. But let us look at what is unfolding in Northwest Britain at the moment.
Died in the stabbing attack in the British seaside town of Southport. The girls were 6, 7 and 9 years old. 5 other children in a critical condition in hospital, as well as 2 adults. This attack happened in England's northwest on Monday. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested over the attack. The children were attending a holiday dance class, a specially themed workshop that celebrated Taylor Swift when they were stabbed. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, visited the scene this morning. She laid memorial flowers there, as you can see, accompanied by some police officers. With more for us, here's Francis Reid.
Quietly paying respects. The Home Secretary among those who've been here today. A moment's pause in a community which may never be able to understand why. It's been confirmed a 3rd child has died, a 9-year-old girl, in addition to 2 girls aged 6 and 7. 8 other children suffered stab wounds, 5 of them are critically ill. 2 adults are also in a critical condition. The horror unfolded at what was supposed to be a fun, Taylor Swift-themed holiday workshop for primary school children. Yoga, dancing, bracelet making in what's usually a safe space, a haven for pregnant women where baby and children's classes also take place.
Well, I think it's just unimaginable what has happened, this devastating and horrific attack. And I think all of our thoughts will be with the families who have been affected, the loved ones who have been lost and the children who are injured. And it's really important that they get all the support they need.
The BBC understands that Leanne Lucas is among those who were attacked. The teacher running the holiday workshop yesterday. She's been praised for her bravery, although her condition has not been confirmed by authorities.
A 3rd child who was attacked in Southport has died in hospital. In the last hour, police said the 3rd victim was a 9-year-old girl and confirmed that the 2 children who died yesterday were girls aged 6 and 7. The attacks happened at a Taylor Swift dance event just before midday yesterday. This morning, the singer reacted to the stabbing, saying in a statement, "These were just little kids at a dance class. I am at a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families." The Home Secretary later there.
Sorry about that.
Still unknown. With the latest, here's Sally Biddle.
A quiet moment of reflection and arms reaching out to comfort one another. The Home Secretary and local MP for Southport laid flowers close to the scene of yesterday's knife attack, stunned like all of us at the horror of what happened here.
Well, I think it's just unimaginable what has happened, this devastating and horrific attack. And I think all of our thoughts will be with the families who have...
Well, it's shortly after that turned into civil unrest. Let's look at a clip from that and I'll explain from a speculatory point of view what is going on and why it has twisted into such an incident.
In the last few minutes, police have confirmed that several officers have been injured and a warning that Paul's report contains some offensive behaviour and language.
For the second day in a row, Southport has been under attack. Just hours after stopping the knifeman, Merseyside police faced another assault. This crowd weren't welcomed by locals. We don't know where they streamed in from, but they're believed to be supporters of the English Defence League. Just before 8 o'clock, they met outside a mosque in the town, where a few hundred people threw bricks and fireworks at the windows. The suspect behind yesterday's attack isn't known to be Muslim, but a connection was drawn nonetheless.
There are police dogs arriving now here in the centre of Southport, just up to the junction here where we've seen protesters, a crowd here throwing objects at a mosque that is just on the corner of this junction here. They've been clashing now violently with police, throwing objects at the police, clashing with officers in riot gear. And this really is a very tense situation and an already horrendous time for Southport.
At one moment, even armed police were pushed back.
3 innocent kids are dead, mate. 7, 6 and 9.
Before we decided it wasn't safe for us either. As the violence escalated, it left at least one officer with injuries. Others escaped their van being set alight.
The scenes of thuggery that we have seen on the streets of Southport this evening bear no relation to the way in which the Southport community has been coming together to support each other and to support grieving families.
Tonight, grieving families are kept awake as helicopters circle Southport once again. Protest, disturbing what chance they had of any peace.
Well, the grief felt
Right. It has turned into quite a nasty situation since then. It has taken an ethnic and religious content to the riot that I will try to explain. Based on the news coming out, the young man is 17-year-old, and under British law, you cannot be identified until if cleared by a court based on the reasons. So his identity will be withheld from the public. No, that doesn't prevent people from knowing who locally who carried out the offense. Based on the information in public, it seems, and these are speculatory, it seems he's of Indian ethnicity, but nationality-wise, his parents are from Uganda. You may know that a lot of Indians live in Uganda, but he himself was born in the United Kingdom. Because of how the race, religion, and culture operates in Britain, immediately the incident took place. Then, because of his Indian ethnicity, it quickly turned into a terrorist attack, even though that's not what the police are saying, but the locals are seeing it that it has been turned into anti-Islam warfare. That's why they're targeting mosques and things like that. But the way how this thing operates in Britain, if not controlled, it can span across the country. Why that could happen? Because of the religious tone to it. That because the group that is charging the riot is a very racist group, the English Defence League. They're quite much a Ku Klux Klan mentality. And for these people, if you're not pink in this country, you're immigrant. In this country, for the English Defence League, if you're not pink, then you're an immigrant. And by then, if they continue this, they could be attacking anybody and community of color. So if not controlled, this could span into a nasty situation if the religious war that has been pushed at the moment by the English Defence League continues. It is also said that because even though the locals or the English Defence League are saying, blame it on Muslims, even though he's Indian, he's from a Christian family, his family is the Indians of Uganda, not the Indians that originate, that are native to it, that are derived from India into England. They derive from the Ugandan segment. So that is the issue why it has turned religious, because anything looking Indian or Arab, it doesn't matter what you do, it's because you're a terrorist, it's because you're Islamic. So that tone to it could really spiral the thing out of control if the police does not take control of the situation. But it was quite a brutal, heart-wrenching issue that took place. The fact that it has to do with children makes it even worse. And there are still children in critical condition in hospital. I don't know if there's a mental health side to the young man. Other information in public as well is that he was on the MI6 watch list, which would rather confuse me, because the MI6 terror watch list look at terrorists outside of the UK, whereas the MI5 terror watch list would look at people who are based in the United Kingdom. So if he's on the MI6, which is an international operation terror watch list, and he's living in the United Kingdom, I can't see why you wouldn't be watching him here as well, because this is where he based. Yes, maybe he has connections with other groups abroad. He may have traveled to a particular country that is being looked at on the terror watch list, but I find it weird that he was watched outside the country, but not inside the country. But then again, you always have those Secret Service hook up and crack up. So that's the update on the riot unfolding in Britain at the moment. And we have to keep an eye out, because the English Defence League, they're quite racist. And if you're not milk white or pink, then you're an immigrant and you're subjected to attack. Back into our brand Jamaica. I am worried about the suicide of this officer. I am even more worried, Prime Minister, Minister of National Security. Hey, this is a phone portfolio, you know. The Prime Minister is the Minister of Defense. Horace Chang is the Minister of National Security. The officer's hand, the gun in the officer's hand, placed neatly between his crotch, finger and all still in the trigger point. Bruised. I wonder how old those scars might be. I wonder if any relative, any co-worker, anybody that would have seen him prior to Tuesday morning would be able to tell us before Bailey fix a story, if they are aware of anything that may have happened that would have bring injury to the hand of the officer. The hand, the officer's hand, the suicide, said to be suicide officer's hand, appeared to be soaked in blood. When I couldn't take another bloody part of the uniform. Was he meant to be working alone, Prime Minister? He's wearing his uniform, Prime Minister, so we assume he was on duty. He was wearing his uniform, so we assume. A few weeks ago, I spoke about a young JDF officer that a helicopter went down with. He was a single pilot. Have anybody heard anything of him? The officer's hand, Prime Minister. Was he on shift? Was he working solo, Prime Minister? And does his car have the modern thicker fronts that would carry a black box, Prime Minister, that would aid the investigation? I wonder if his phone is going to be forensically examined to see communication within the last week, 24, 72 to 48 hours. I wonder, because why? Them government people love commit suicide, all when car crash with them. All when car crash with them and them sister the suicide don't work. Them say, no man, I forget the job done. What kind of botch job the car do with me? What sort of botch job is this? What about the JDF officer who was shot? When I say it may have been a robbery. I hope a JDF officer not assassinate and we don't hear gun fire about them, you know. Not a single bullet. Not a single bullet. Possible if you ask them the question, where did you kill Fitzbailey? Andrew Holness, Horace Chang. Where did you all murder Orville Moore? Because it certainly wasn't over Spurtree. We knew by the time you all dropped him off over there using a JDF helicopter, he was already dead. Where was Orville Moore murdered? And then it leads to the question, was this officer murdered at the Palisades Road? I wonder if Andrew Holness will be able to tell us what happened to his officer You're the Minister of Defense, Prime Minister. Your friend and confidant is the Minister of National Security. I wonder what happened to the officer's hand. I wonder how for him suicide just. But then again, if Arvel Moore with a broken back managed to flew at high speed over precipice and with a broken back, get out of the car, find a cold piece of clothes hanger to do what the car going over the precipice never did, then you might never can tell him tell the gun say, the bullet say, wait until I put back the gun properly in front of me if it spark some media conspiracy, then me can dead after that. Well, a Britain teacher no in it. In a Britain, down a Fulham, down the road there so. Then they find one ex-Secret Service operative, one ex-MI5 operative, commit suicide in Ambat, but after he commit the suicide, he managed to go into a body bag, tie up himself, and zip up himself in the body bag. You all right? So, we know who are their teachers. Tony Blair ordered Dave Kelly, said, come a bush, make me kill you. And David Kelly have to walk to where Tony Blair ordered the assassination. Tony Blair put a 70-year classification on the post-mortem of his government scientists who blew the whistle at Tony Blair to say the dossier that Tony Blair came to Parliament with in order to get the Parliament support to go to war was doctored. It was botched. It was a lie. And when it was exposed, Tony Blair was having a meeting with George Bush. They were at the UN and he flew back and he ordered the assassination. The next day, the news broke. David Kelly has committed suicide. Blah, 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 the blah, blah, blah. Because we are fools, you see. We are fools, you see. Now, even if them clean up the phone in a Pamela, the phone provider under a court subpoena can provide you the text, the voice note, the calls, the location. The phone provider under a court subpoena can provide that. But will that be of interest to the investigators? Or will there be any form of independent investigation with regards to this officer's said to be suicide? Said to be suicide. I wonder where the officer was murdered. Who was the officer meant to be working with? Was he meant to be working alone? Did he disobey orders from someone and hide? Prime Minister, it is your lawmen, military men. It is your military men, Prime Minister. You are the Minister of Defense. And we would want to know what happened to his wrist, the back of his hand. We want to know if anyone, I wonder if his relatives or colleague would be able to speak to that. I wonder if his colleague or his family he had a bite on the hand. Alleged that he had a bite on the hand. Had a bite on the hand prior to Boy, look like a dog there try to chime off, because this a bite ya. Have quite a space over it. Quite a space. But we want to know if the hand was scarred prior to Tuesday morning when he was found, or if the last person to have seen him on Monday evening into Monday night would be able to verify that the officer had that injury prior to the incident. I wonder what secret or depression might would have driven the officer to take in his own life. Just asking for a friend, Prime Minister, because them say, them here say, are you responsible for the military? You are the policy director in the military, Prime Minister. So we just ask if you know anything where you couldn't tell we, what you make with ask the whole question. It's just simple. Is that verified from any of their lying news source, Randy Thompson? The information, is that verified from any news source, or it is information that just put out there? But it's interesting to know of his hand. The hand is my main concern. That is the centerpiece of my investigation, his hand. Then if we can clear say the hand was injured prior to Monday night, then we can move on to something else. But for now, the hand and the gun and his position is a point of investigation. There's questions to ask from these positions. I wonder if there will be any reenactment. Don't know. We're not going to get a forensic person to come reenact the crime to see if we want to tell us it's possible, or if it could have gone off it too, or is it something where we not just make up? Was the officer murdered? Is this a cold assassination by the government, as they did with Reverend Orville Moore? Was this an assassination ordered by the government? Just asking. Not so we have to ask question. How we are going to learn and how we are going to know if we don't ask, Prime Minister? You can't come out and you can't say no. You can't come out and you can't tell with your mind with business. You always have an answer. So just provide me one. Maybe it stem the question. Listen, if that ever happens, Simone, the government will pack them back and run, because as much as we don't like the JCF nor the JDF, if the JDF and the JCF is going to war with the government, be sure the people will be on the side of the JCF and the JDF. So, but the government wouldn't want that along in. They would have might as well raise up them white flag and move on graciously. Alison Hamilton, how you doing, my friend? Long time no catch up on the live. But the hand, Prime Minister, the soldier hand. The soldier and a rub me, Prime Minister. The quicker fix, come fix something, tell we. Make we can ask, how you damn lying wicked, so sir? Would you expect the dumbest person to believe what you've just uttered? I don't think so. Really don't think so, Fix Bailey. But then, when a suicide, Stephanie Lindsay always come out with a little Miss Muffet story. Why are we born figure to story when it's not Brad Tukuma's story, is Bra Nancy, and all sorts. But we need to know it's important that the family also, like the family of Orville Moore did, ordered a private post-mortem. Make sure when the government pathologist is doing the post-mortem, you have a private pathologist in observance as well. Because when a government wanted, government can tell you anything. Remember how long would it take for know say Melissa Silvera did not die peacefully in her sleep next to her husband? Them your people, yeah. Them your people, yeah. And them your people, yeah. Jamaica people want me to come to Labour or PNP about, yeah. Them your crooks and criminals and murderers and thieves. Are them something you want me to back up and support? Do I appear that Donald Trumpish? As much as I love the fun and gain of Donald Trump, me not as fool as him. Me can't hold up my hand to that. Me love him nonsense. But I'm not that fool. But let's listen to the Prime Minister on his declaration of protected areas. Who the Prime Minister is coming for next? Because after protecting the country, the Prime Minister started an onslaught. And those are not the only protected areas. The Prime Minister said about 25% of Jamaica are protected zones. Does it mean that the Prime Minister is going to claim ownership of 25% of Jamaica? We have to ask him because we know say I saw this man stay him talk back and front. You have to look on the machete to know which side, veteran, wagwan. You have to look on the machete to know which side the Prime Minister is using. Let's listen to the Prime Minister.
State that we have created institutions to act in protection of our environment while promoting sustainable development, NEPA and the NRCA. This administration has protected the cockpit country.
For those of you Jamaica Labour Party supporters, write to your Prime Minister and ask him if the NRCA is still in force.
I was in Black River announcing that the Black River morass is now a protected area.
We have acres of that morass in parity that he's talking about. We have more than Black River. Hey, Jesus. Where am I come from now? What is the Prime Minister after?
And I indicated that very soon, possibly after the celebrations when Cabinet resumes, the Cabinet will give approval for the protection of the Pedro banks as another protected.
Now, the Pedro Bank is close to my heart and the people of Parity, the people of Cheddar Beach, Pedro Plain, Floggerman, and the Southwest, St. Elizabeth. And them destroy it with their blasting of reefs. My thing you freeze. With their blasting of reefs and all of that, and them search for oil. The Pedro Bank has lots of reefs around it. You have Upper Rock, Upper Shannon, over Chuku. Where else? Rock, Shannon, Chuku, Blowers. The Pedro Bank is surrounded by a lot of reefs, hence the vibrancy of the fishing industry before them destroy it. Protected, he said. Will the Prime Minister and his friends be drilling for oil on the Pedro Bank? Because on already claims say on find what on think to be billions barrel of oil in the Calibre zone, which is right in front of where me grew up. We have a part out there, what they call Walton Bank. You know about the Walton Morant license to drill in the Calibre zone. What is the Prime Minister after? I've been warning St. Elizabeth people from the other day. The Prime Minister is coming for us. If oil is being found in the Calibre zone, they might go on one beach. Parity or White House, them not go trouble White House sandals down there. Private sector people. Those in the 1% of 21 family who controls our economy. Them now go to Cheddar Beach. A white skin, long hair, nice looking people up there and tourism up there. Where is left? Parity Beach, a residential beach. I hate not want to use hurricane mash way up. I hate not want to turn a blind eye to it because we don't want with beach to set up all on our regiments and regalias. It will be blood, Prime Minister. Whatever you make up and come with, we are waiting for you because we understand you have an assignment from the devil. The lizards, Prime Minister, those from the marine world gave you an assignment. Tell them so we don't afraid that we walk through cemetery night and day. I'm frozen. I can't freeze.
This would mean that we are probably now very close to 25% of Jamaica being protected. This administration, in our 60th year, is showing that we must be serious about protecting our environment. It is important to state that we have created institutions to act in protection of our environment while promoting sustainable development, NEPA and the NRCA.
NEPA and the NRCA. Did Andrew not go against what NEPA said about drilling or mining in the cockpit country? Does anyone remember that? NEPA that is in the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister has created a protective zone, but has gone against the very agency he has created to regulate the protectivity. Did the Prime Minister not go beyond what NEPA says? Does anyone remember that story? Did the Prime Minister not turn a blind eye to what NEPA ordered? NEPA was looking to protect the environment. Did the Prime Minister not override that? So why, if after Maroon town, the Catholic country has been protected, has received protection through the environment, and the Prime Minister is carrying out such an onslaught and a zone protected by his agencies and laws, what guarantee the other 25, the other percentage of the 25% of protected area the Prime Minister spoke about in Jamaica? What are we to believe about these protected zones if the protected zone of the Akampa of the Catholic country is being disturbed? The Prime Minister have declared all-out war. The Prime Minister is stealing from the very forest. The Prime Minister is trying to use his laws to reserve to steal. Reserve to steal. You should create one law when you reserve to steal, Prime Minister. You need one new law upon book when you reserve to steal. Reserve to steal. Because that's all we know about you know. Thieving. I wonder, the Maras, them say we Maras them a good area for grow rice. I wonder if the Prime Minister got to take with Maras them get to the Chinese for grow rice. Because we have all heap of Maras a parity, you know. Parity have more Maras and Ditilt than Black River. You know? Oh, yeah. So like how we Maras protected, like how the Pedro Bank, where we did control, protect. I wonder what's coming for St. Elizabeth. The speech, can anybody tell me? That speech was the 2000 and was it 2001, 2002, or 2002? I think the 2001, 2002 budget presentation. It was a 2000 budget presentation.
That we have created institutions to act in protection of our environment while promoting sustainable development.
Or was that the 2019 one? Because the 21, 22 one, them they are wear masks. I think this is the 2019, 2021, because the proceedings once to that, they were all wearing masks up until 2022, 23 budget. So I think this was the 2019 to 2020 budget. Because none of
this administration has protected the cockpit country.
This would have been after he made that statement at Dembe. But let's look at the Prime Minister's agitation after him and Ferran Williams and Babsy. Ferran Williams plan to sell out or to give them a compound for them turn ramping shop. Chief Curry came to office and realized how much their compound is being exploited because the previous chiefs were corrupt and in the back pocket of previous governments, but more so in this Prime Minister's pocket because the Prime Minister has an economic interest in the cockpit country. Let's look at the Prime Minister's agitation. And this also goes to the rewriting. Let me see if I have this slide. The rewriting of the new Constitution, where, is it Lord Barnett? Is it Barnett that person is saying, did I not have that? I thought I did. Bonnet, Maroon sovereignty claim not considered by the Constitutional Review Committee. It is why the government is driving ahead with this Jamaica becoming a republic, because in doing so, the Prime Minister wants to write out the Maroons out of everything. And under that, if the Prime Minister get his constitution to go through the way he wants, all of Jamaica land would then become state land, including the Coptic country. And that would immediately spark a civil war, because Andrew Holness would lay government ownership to the territory. You remember when Mark Golden, because many people would think that Mark Golden only raised the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice as opposed to the Privy Council. But no, the issue of the Maroons that is not discussed in the constitutional reform was one of the issues that Mark Golden also raised as well. It was about 3 to 4 issues that Mark Golden raised in their discomfort or disagreement in signing off on phase 1 of the commission. Let's look at his agitation. When him find out, said the deal with him and Babsy make with Ferran Williams, now go ahead because Chief Curry come in. Chief Curry isn't corrupt. Chief Curry is not going to sell out the people. Chief Curry is not going to make them play dollyhouse with the people's asset. The Prime Minister cut off all communications with Chief Curry and their compound Maroon. What the Prime Minister sought to do was pitch the other Maroons community against their compound. We remember the Prime Minister have meetings with other Maroon chief, which he deliberately exclude Chief Curry from. The Prime Minister stepped up his rant and rhetoric against Chief Curry. The Prime Minister cut off government funding and communication from a community who they have collected funding for through the indigenous community, where them international government fund them. The Prime Minister have cut off all. You know that the other Maroon chief, because Holness never get him way, do you know that Holness stopped communicating with the other Maroon chiefs as well? He's not having any dialogue with them anymore.
Did the government seek legal advice on its decision to disengage with so-called sovereign Maroons? And would the government not be derelict in refusing to finance projects in any such territories? And the companion question is whether the government finds it embarrassing that it seems that different arms of the state, that's the police and ODPEM, as we found out, gave approval to the hosting of the Maroon celebrations.
Your question is based on a very dangerous premise. And I said earlier that there are some threats that they...
You're not referring to Professor Lennon, Norman, are you? You're not referring to Professor Lennon?
Average citizen looking on might think it is innocuous, it is popular, and take a liking to it, because the discussions that are held in places that should know better does not highlight the threat. Jamaica is a unitary, sovereign state. There is no other sovereign authority in Jamaica other than the government of Jamaica. I want that to be absolutely clear. None. And under my leadership, not 1 inch of Jamaica will come under any other sovereign authority. What you are asking would be another for the government of Jamaica.
That alone should allow Jamaicans to rise and remove Andrew Holness immediately. Under my leadership, not 1 inch of Jamaica will come under any other sovereign authority. The Prime Minister is ruling out the Maroons completely. If this was a leader in the Middle East, we would say this is genocidal speaking. Investigate wars and the narrative of wars. This is genocidal speaking coming from the Prime Minister. Because if it's not genocidal speaking, Prime Minister, if you're not saying we're prepared to wipe them out to make sure that that land is under the British Crown, wouldn't that be a genocidal way of speaking? Because you're dismissing that they're there. They're saying we're here and we're here to stay. It's our God-given and our birthright. So is it not genocidal for the Prime Minister to say, under my leadership, not 1 inch? So what does that mean if the people decide to stand and defend their territory from invasion by the Jamaican government? When you say how genocidal this Prime Minister sound?
To fund, take taxpayers' money. And
oh, I forgot. He met Bibi Netanyahu. Okay, sums it up.
Grant funds to fund another government. This is not a government saying they are a local government, a parish council government, which is under our constitution. Are you crazy? Really? Do you know what you're asking? This is the stuff of how guerrilla wars come and states break down. Wake up, Jamaica. Don't court foolishness and problems. Wake up. People have died as a result. And you expect me to stand here as Prime Minister and fund activities that could lead to the breakdown of our state? Never.
What would lead to the breakdown of the state is the Prime Minister rampant stealing of assets from the cut-pick country. What would break down the state is the Prime Minister bullish and one-upmanship way of dealing with a problem older than the state called Jamaica. You're dealing, Prime Minister, you seem to, and that's why I say to Jamaicans, you cannot look at this in domestic law. We're talking about a treaty. Treaty is signed country to country. So if then it would be the Maroons that control the entire Jamaica, not the government, the British protectorate government of Jamaica. No, in international law. And hear how the Prime Minister becomes very upset because of their lacking in understanding law, international law as well. The Prime Minister thought that he could stifle Chief Curry's diplomatic authority. After Buju Banton became ambassador to their compound, as a diplomat in international law, Buju Banton applied to the American embassy in Jamaica. The Jamaican Prime Minister, with his contact in the US embassy, turned down Buju visa about 2 to 3 times. Buju Banton and the Maroons applied to a US embassy in a country outside Jamaica, which recognizes the sovereignty and the diplomacy of Chief Curry. When Andrew Holness found that out, that an authority in Jamaica outweighs the authority he's claiming, the Prime Minister went berserk. I was expecting some show from the Prime Minister ever since that happened, because he was angry. He was angry to see that Buju Banton, the ambassador of their compound, received his visa for the United States and did not apply within Jamaica. That made the Prime Minister blood boil. So me know them they are going to attack their compound anytime soon. Him just never want to do it. You notice as soon as the Prime Minister got sentenced with Gossimento, the problem start. The Prime Minister said, we're going to start this by doing bold stealing because we know them are going to stop with. And then we can get to go in with a bad man force. Chief Curry, the leader of their compound, Maroon, is blaming the current tension in Quickstep. The Maroon community, along with Trelawney and St. Elizabeth border, and what he claimed was government bid to illicitly exploit and some sinfire, or whatever the word name, of resources. That word that when you steal things over time. According to Curry, those resources rightly belong to the Maroon. So if you notice the headline, the Gleaner is saying, Chief Curry invoke right to defend Maroon territory against state agency. So therefore, Andrew, you and your something them are being warned. But we're still waiting on these two thieves, Minto and the executive of the Forestry Department, where the Prime Minister and his wife is using to walk and steal Jamaica assets.
Minto, Superintendent of Police, Divisional Commander for St. Elizabeth. This is a continuation of the operation which started on Friday evening. Sometime at about 10 p.m. Friday night, the police received a distress call that 7 employees of the Forestry Department were trapped inside of the hills of this community. As a consequence, a team was dispatched. That team came up and provided some support as well as part of the search and rescue operation. The team was met with much resistance as persons from the hills hurled stones at them and also blocked them in with trees and boulders. The persons who were here were on the ground for well over 24 hours before they were eventually rescued and removed from this location. We returned this morning with a large contingent of police officers and the representatives from the Forestry Department in continuation of the effort to retrieve the additional lumber that was illegally cut in this area.
I'm Superintendent David White, Sector 3 Commander. This operation is conducted on Quickstep between, this is the border of Trelawney and St. Elizabeth. We're offering security to the...
So we know David Wife and Corregimento are the two thieves that the Jamaican government, the Prime Minister and his wife, is using to protect the executive of the Forest Department to pilfer lumber from the cut-pick country.
Forestry Department, who is actually having an operation about 5 miles from here, where they are trying to retrieve over 520 illegally obtained logs from inside the bushes there. It's a long stretch, and we have very strategically deployed persons along the main thoroughfare coming in and along the area where the logging and the retrieving of logging is taking place. So persons are there. We're trying to prevent persons from blocking in the team that are working along this area. Right. So far there are no issues and the community is cooperating with us, police. I'm Superintendent David.
Let me say this to you, Andrew Holness. 1, you cannot win this war. And 2, the Americans said to tell you they're not going to assist you because, Andrew Holness, they are aware that China will stand to gain economically if you wins against the Maroon. So they are determined not to help you. When you go up in the hill, next time on the face opposition, when you go turn left or right, or no car them are going to have wings, or no car them make out a fire we can burn up. Careful. Careful what you're asking for. You may just be asking for a bloodbath in the country, Prime Minister. Jamaica doesn't have the health care, Prime Minister, to withstand what you're asking. People will die for want of medical care, Prime Minister, should you provoke a civil unrest in the country. The best thing to do, Prime Minister, you and your wife thief enough. My God, if on a bag all and more, on a shoulder go slip out. If on a bag can't hold no more, on a shoulder go slip out. Go on and leave, we know. Criminal, murderer, thief. On a go on and leave, we know. Make we mash it up, not uno. Uno get full of fair share already. More than what uno shouldn't get. Go on and leave we now. Thank you all for joining us this morning on Global Television. It's nice and sunny. Me never go to do it yesterday. But not stop me today because it is ever so nice and sunny outside. On the north side, we only have about 4 weeks of sun left. So we have to name up all of what we can name up while it's here. So thank you all very much for being here this morning. Remember, it is our country, and if we don't take it back from them, what I can guarantee you is we will lose it.
I truly believe our political system needs some fixing. Too much you hear about corrupt politicians and nothing happen. Too much you hear about politicians who take away poor people money and none of them reach in jail. And to the young people at home or wherever you are, and to all Jamaicans, I have one question for you. Take a look at your communities. Take a look at the sliding dollar. Take a look at the failing healthcare and ask yourselves, where is the progress? Where is the progress that this arrogant and disrespectful government keeps talking about? With this existing callous government, matters have gone from bad to worse.
when they said that they were talking about Portia Simpson's government, isn't rather ironic that it is a spitting image of the government that they've been running for the last 7 years? Good morning and good afternoon from Global TV.